Hey, this is Adam Torres, and I'm here to tell you that it has never been easier to start your very own podcast. At Mission Matters, our goal is to amplify stories that matter. That means we want to help you start your podcast because your story matters. We can do this in 3 different ways. 1, join our podcast school and take a free or paid course. 2, visit our resources page where we've already figured out what you need, such as where to host your podcast. Or 3, heck, we can even do everything for you through our podcast agency, including editing for cheaper than you can do in-house. Oh, and no contracts, service is month to month. Get started by heading over to missionmatters.com and click on Start a Podcast. All right, now let's get into the show. Hey, I'd like to welcome you to another episode of the Mission Matters Fitness Podcast, your source for all things fitness. My name is Adam Torres. You can follow me on Instagram at AskAdamTorres. Keep up with my book releases, book tour schedule, signings, all that other good stuff. Always love to connect with you there. And as always, if you'd like to apply to become a co-author of one of my upcoming books, just head on over to the website, missionmatters.com, and click on Become an Author to apply. All right, so today I have Chris Shelton on the line, and he's founder and CEO over at Morning Crane Healing Arts Center. Chris, welcome to the show.
Hi there. Thank you for having me. I'm so excited.
Oh, man. Hey, I'm excited to have you on the line. We're going to talk about the benefits of Qigong.
Awesome.
But before we do that, I want to talk a little bit more about your overall practice and what you're doing over at the Morning Crane Healing Arts Center. So tell us a little bit more about your center, please.
So it's a combination. It's one-on-one in service, seeing clients in private clinic, as well as teaching group classes. Right now, because of COVID, obviously, all of those classes have gone online, and we have 2 locations in San Jose, California, as well as in Los Angeles, actually downtown Burbank. And
I love this.
Yeah, and so my background is in traditional Chinese medicine. So I've been studying for over 30 years, been in clinical practice for 20. So there's the combination. The practice of Qigong itself, most people don't realize, is actually the foundation of acupuncture. It's also the foundation of Tai Chi. And what it's meant to do is it's meant to empower people through simple yet effective movements and breathwork to be able to deal with emotional stress and trauma, because according to Chinese medicine, the leading cause of death, besides poor diet, not exercising, is emotional trauma. And so in the group classes, we teach these gentle movements and these meditations. And in clinical practice, then it's more hands-on. Obviously, we do more of a Q&A of what the etiology is behind the disease or the dysfunction. And then we come up with a treatment strategy. And then from there, using the foundations and the principles of Chinese medicine, then we work with that. And so we have a really high expectation of success and turnaround, and that's what's brought us actually to Hollywood, so into LA.
I love this, and I'll just say so myself. I mean, I've been practicing my own form of, or trying to, and on and off with Qigong for I don't know how. I mean, since I was 16. So I'm a huge fan. I've seen it. I've had personal things in my life that went well because of it, I believe. But I don't want to assume that everybody listening is familiar with it, with Qigong or with Tai Chi. So can you kind of maybe give a little bit of, and I know in a 10 to 15 minute podcast episode we're not going to go that far, thousands of years of history,
right.
So that's a given. But just to give people a flavor that maybe haven't heard of it or don't really understand some of the benefits that can be derived from practicing.
Sure. So Qigong is a 5,000-year-old practice, and Qi is spelled Qi, and then Gong, G-O-N-G. So Qi is the life force energy that emanates through all living things, and Gong is the skill in which to harness this life force energy, in this case, in order to improve the person's mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual well-being. Most people have heard of Kung Fu, for example, and that simply means skill of the fist. So if people have a hard time connecting with, well, what is Qi? Is there really an existence of Qi? Well, yes, there is. And if you have a hard time connecting with it, then I just recommend to students, think of it in terms of blood or fluids inside your body. Because if you think about it logically, your blood is your Qi. And if you're anemic or deficient in blood, or you have diabetes or something like that, you have low and weak energy. If the blood is vibrant and strong, guess what? You have a lot of vitality. Your health is great, and your organs are functioning ultimately, at the best that they can be. And so Qigong is a simple practice that anybody could do. And like I said, it's a combination of gentle moving practices, almost like Tai Chi, but I believe Qigong is much more effective because it's easier to learn. And what I love about Qigong is that it does not discriminate against age, gender, religious or spiritual belief structure. It's meant for all people to really to empower them to be the best person that they could possibly be.
Oh, that's awesome. And what are some of the like? I like the part that you talk about is it's accessible. So meaning people that
Right.
age, like talk a little bit more about that, whether it's age or physical condition. And I think what I like about one of the things I like about this so much is that it's not like some of these things where you have to be super fit, you have to be super like already on top of it to derive benefits. So can you talk a little bit more about that, please?
Yeah, and that's the great thing about Qigong. Now, obviously, we have a saying that one to fight disease before or after disease sets in is like trying to dig a well after one has become thirsty, or forging one's weapons after they've engaged in battle. Wouldn't that be is preventative? But the cool thing, and this is what got me started over 30 years ago, because I had serious health problems, is that even if you do have health problems, it's so simple to do that if you do the practices every day, you'll start to see the transformation. And the cool thing is that it's not a belief structure. Like you don't, obviously if you have a positive attitude, that's always great, but it's not something that you have to believe in it for it to work, so it doesn't matter what condition that you're in. We normally recommend to students, like for example, people practicing Qigong, if they're going through chemotherapy or whatnot, and their energy is weak, then you do the practice from a seated position. And if you're too weak to lift up your arms, then you could just imagine, watch the movements, because we have a whole YouTube channel with all these movements on there for free. And so even if you are too weak to lift your arms, at least follow with the meditations and visualize with your mind what we're doing with the movements. And believe it or not, you actually will gain benefit from that. So it does not discriminate. I love it when I see, because we have a Qi Club, which is a membership class that we have 4 classes Monday through Thursday from 8 to 8:30 Pacific Standard Time. And we see people from around the world. And I love seeing little kids on there, because the younger you get started with it, the better that it is for them, because really learning at a young age to be able to deal with stress and trauma that goes on in their life and to improve their health is always, it's always great to see that they have they're one step ahead of the game. But if you are somebody that's 60, 70 years old that's just being introduced to Qigong, it's never too late. And simply doing 5 to 15 minutes a day is actually good enough to gain the benefit.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, Chris, you mentioned a couple things. You mentioned YouTube. You mentioned a club that you have. You mentioned I know there's more under the hood. Let's give my listeners some tools here. So, if somebody wants to connect, start following your brand, if they want to learn more about your center, how does somebody get involved with the community?
So the website is sheltonqigong.com, and once again that's spelled Qigong. All my handles for like Instagram, YouTube is all Chris Shelton Qigong, and if you want to start doing a practice, because we have up there like the 30 days of Qigong, and it's for free. It's like you're taking 30 weeks with me in my studio in San Jose. So each day I talk about the practice, why you're doing it according to Chinese medicine, and then how to do the practice, and each day builds on top of the next. Also, weekly, we release free videos on some health-related topics, like the video that we just shot today that will be released on Friday is on seizures and aneurysms, and what's the root cause and how to prevent it, number one, but then again, how to fix it yourself. But then also we have the Qi Club, so go to the qiclub.com, and we have a membership. This all stemmed from COVID. And go to qiclub.com. We have a membership. The classes are Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday from 8 to 8:30, and it's either $29 a month or $300 for the year, which is a great deal because it only breaks down to $2 a class to take care of your health. And last but not least, if you're somebody that's a practitioner already, or you're somebody that wants to dive deeper within these practices themselves, then we have a Qigong teacher training course. Level 1 is 13 weeks and it's interactive. online, and there's a forum at the end of the 13 weeks. We meet for a weekend workshop, and they could go to qigongteachertraining.com for more information there.
Yeah, that's awesome. And what was the YouTube channel? I know you mentioned you're releasing videos. I don't know if I caught the name of that one, because I want to check that out, and I'm definitely going to subscribe. I think it's awesome what you're doing.
Yeah, it's Chris Shelton, so it's ChrisShelton as in Tom, O-N, and then it's Qigong. And you have to type in Chris Shelton Qigong, because if you just type in Chris Shelton, the guy that comes up before me is a guy that has a lot of anti-Scientology videos, so you have to make sure to type in the Qigong.
They're like, wait a minute, this is the right one. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, that's not me. That's what it's
all right.
Yeah.
I got you covered, so it's not the right Chris Shelton. With the right, that's awesome.
Correct.
So, Chris, hey, really appreciate you coming on the show today and sharing
Thank
what
you.
you're doing with my audience. I think it's great, and I think there's a lot of benefit to be had from it. So I definitely want people to go check all of that information out. And to the audience, as always, thank you for tuning in. Hope you got a lot of value out of this. If you did, don't forget to subscribe to the podcast, leave a review on the Apple iTunes Store, and if you're watching this in our YouTube channel, Mission Matters Fitness, definitely give us a subscribe there, but also leave us some comments in the video. Love to know what kind of projects and things that you're working on. And Chris, thanks again for coming on the show.
Oh, thank you, sir. It's such a pleasure. And, the whole idea is how can we work together to uplift humanity, and I think what you're doing is amazing, so thank you so much.